Real quick, I have to say I apologize, but I cannot show footage of this game. Nintendo will take the video down. They're blocking footage, they're blocking screenshots, so enjoy some Game Builder Garage gameplay. Onto the video. Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Botox Games. Today we are talking more about the Nintendo Switch Online playtest because I have played about 5 hours of this mysterious new Roblox, MMO, Minecraft, weird game Nintendo is doing. And I want to start there. I think this is one of the weirdest things that Nintendo has ever done. Let's get into it. Alrighty, folks, a good Thursday morning. I hope your day is treating you well. So yeah, I have played about 5 hours of the Nintendo Switch Online playtest. It started last night at like 6 p.m. Pacific. I played it for like 4 or 5 hours straight, and I'm honestly as confused as I was before playing it. Like, going into this, we heard, from all like the data mining and stuff. I talked about it in videos, the FAQ on the website. We've heard a little bit. We heard like some terms like fuse and deco, and we heard some terms, right? But we didn't really know what was going on. And after playing it for 5 hours, I have a better grasp of the game overall, but also I'm still like I'm very confused at what Nintendo's doing with this game. The marketing for this game, it feels even weirder now having played it, because it's like, it really is like Roblox. If you've ever logged onto Roblox and like just gone into like one of like the random games and you see all the random players walking around and like emoting and stuff, that's what this game feels like. It feels like that level of like online jank from something like Roblox or like some sort of like multiplayer Minecraft thing, where you just have all these people goofing around in like a hub, but then you have your main mode, I guess, or your main objective, and that is filling up the planetary block. You get your beacon and making it as tall as possible, which basically lights up all of these different squares on a grid, and your overall goal is to light up the planet. And the actual like core gameplay is basically just Minecraft, where you have all these blocks. The game is very blocky in how it looks, but you have, like dirt blocks, you have iron blocks, you have charcoal, you have all these different blocks like in Minecraft, and you basically just use them to build a tower. Or, once you get a little bit more leveled up, you can use certain resources to craft. But it's not like a crafting menu like it is in Minecraft. No, it's like you go to this dev shop in the hub, the dev core as they call it. You buy a pickaxe block, then you place the pickaxe block down, you put the resources in it, and then comes out of it a pickaxe, if that makes sense. So it's not quite the same as Minecraft. It's a little bit more obtuse, I would say. But there is like a crafting system in this game. I haven't played with it too much because right now it doesn't seem like I have access to too many things. I need to get my development level up more to unlock more items to use, but to get your development level up, you need to get more dev points, and you get dev points by making your beacon taller and taller and getting more like kind of just research points, I guess, is basically what they are. And just building your tower, I will say, like, I was having fun with this game, but also very repetitive early on. So you're basically just getting all these blocks, you pick them up with your little tail whip thing that you have, and you basically just fuse them together. You have this mechanic called fuse, and you're using these to just make taller and taller structures. You make staircases, that kind of thing, and then you put your little beacon block on the top to light up the area, and that's how you get the points. That like inherently is kind of fun, and then you kind of create like little platforming challenges for yourself as you try to get bigger and bigger blocks up your tower, but at the same time, it kind of gets repetitive. However, there are like other tools you get eventually that I haven't played it too much with. You get these like, I think they're called mechs. That's what we heard about in the files of the game when it got data mined. You have like a fuser mech, which makes it easier to fuse multiple blocks together. You can get like an elevator that lets you kind of float up higher. There's even a defuser mech, so you can kind of uncombine everything without destroying it. It's weird. I feel like maybe once I unlock more stuff, the actual like gameplay loop of building these towers will become a little bit more realized. But right now, like, yeah, I'm having fun, but also I can definitely recognize it is very, very repetitive. But yeah, going into this, I was curious if there was going to be any sort of like identification for this project. People are still debating me whether or not this is a full game or just a tech demo. After playing it, even though it does have like that Roblox, like weird online jank, I'm very confident this is a full game, especially because, as we'll get to, it seemingly has microtransactions or will have microtransactions. But the first thing that happens is it just kind of puts you on this title screen that says online playtest. There's a dark void, all these like weird shapes. There's like a weird like foreign language going on here, like, made for the game. But then you get a little like god character talking to you. You have a character creation, and then you get to the tutorial. And the tutorial is where I immediately realized, like, oh wait, This is a weird game. Like, we knew it was going to be weird, but the tutorial, like, immediately I was like, okay, this is, like, really strange. So you play as this little caveman who has this blue-white tail whip thing, and you can swing around with your tail. And this is also how you kind of, like, pick up blocks. You can shake hands with other players. Your tail becomes, like, a hand shape, which is kind of funny, and you, like, connect with them, and it's just, like, really goofy looking. And that is something I noticed in the screenshots that leaked. You can actually swing around like Spider-Man with your tail, and it feels really good. Like, this feels like a finalized, like, character movement system. The movement in this game feels very fluid. You have this little, like, emote cloud bubble you can spit out with the D-pad, and you can actually cling to those with your tail whip and go flying. Like, you can get, like, some crazy traversal going on. So the movement in this game, I was not expecting to be a highlight, but yeah, it really feels quite fluid to move and just kind of walk around and swing around. So I really like that. But yeah, the tutorial, the first thing that you do, it's not the most clear. I was, like, struggling at first because they kind of just throw you in. This game's UI is very overwhelming at first anyway, and they kind of just tell you, like, hey, pick up this block, make more blocks, fuse them together, make a staircase, get this key block to this block to unlock it. And I was, like, overwhelmed. I didn't really know what I was doing, but eventually I kind of got a wrap on things and figured out, like, okay, I can pick up blocks. If you put 2 blocks together and you press the fuse button, you can fuse them together. It's kind of slow, it's kind of obtuse, but eventually you kind of get used to it and you start doing it a lot faster. So the tutorial, I think, the tutorial could definitely be a little bit better. They could explain things better for sure, but also this is a playtest. Maybe when this full game does release eventually, if it ever does release, which I'm sure it will, maybe that tutorial will get cleaned up a little bit, because I've seen a couple other people online complaining that the tutorial is not the most clear, so hopefully they fix that up a bit in the full release. But here's one of the main things I'm kind of confused about. Is this going to be just this weird kind of, you're going on this planet and lighting up these areas? Is that all this game is going to be? Or will there be other things? Because in the hub, there's, like, some little mini games. Like, and I mean little mini games. Like, you get 4 players on these blocks, and it's, like, lucky dice or whatever. And whoever, like, whatever, like, the color lands on, you know, you win versus the other people who have different colored blocks. Like, it literally, like, a 20-second mini game. There is, like, a PvP, like, blue versus red mode that I wasn't able to play because not enough people were in it, because it costs, like, points to get into. So no one was really messing with the PvP. So maybe that'll be a bigger mode. But there's not really a lot to do outside of just building up your beacons and making bigger beacons. My question is, this feels like the template for something much bigger. In the hub, you can make these things called decos or decos, and basically these are just 3D models. You can share 3D models with other players, like full 3D models. There's, like, a full customization kit. There's layers and stuff like Photoshop. I think it's 10 layers or 20 layers or something. So you can make some pretty complicated 3D models. I've seen some insane stuff already where people are putting full 3D outfits on their little caveman character. So if you can make these in-depth 3D models, I have to imagine there's more to it than just the you know, lighting up your areas. There has to be more to it than that, and that's why I feel like this will be some sort of Roblox thing where you make your own games. We don't know for sure if it's EPD4, but based on the fact that the copyright just says Nintendo in the game, there's nothing else in the data mine, right? I'm assuming this is, at the very least, internally developed, probably with some talent that worked on Game Builder Garage. This feels like an evolution of Game Builder Garage, so if that's the case, I would assume there will be, like, a game creator of some kind. Maybe that's just not in the playtest. Maybe I didn't get far enough. I don't think that's the case. But if it's just this, like, if this is the entire thing Nintendo's planning on releasing, I'm not sure how long it will really stick. It's cool, right? Like, the idea of, like, lighting up this planet, and it's like, I mean, it's a huge planet. Basically, everybody has, like, their own grid, and I think it's, like, maybe 10 players per grid. I was feeling a little lonely, actually. The people that got on with me at 6 p.m. yesterday were off pretty early, so I was kind of just building up my tower alone. There wasn't much else going on, and I just wonder if that's, like, really the main draw of this game, or if they have something else in store to keep players engaged, because you can make 3D models. There's this whole shop system where you can buy, like, emotes and skins and stuff. But also we learned that the full game will actually have microtransactions, which I think without a shadow of a doubt does confirm that this is not just a test. This is something that will be released and have a title eventually. I was already saying that in videos prior, but yeah, there are going to be microtransactions. There's a page in the game here. Let me see what it said exactly here. So right now, because it's the you know, beta test, it says test credit shop, and whatever the currency is, it says obtainable for free once at Nintendo eShop. So implying that these will be obtainable for money eventually. And this currency, once again, just kind of adds to this shop that I presume is cosmetics, like emotes and costumes and stuff like that. There's also, like, this whole signboard system in this shop too. So you can, like, buy these signs and put them down, and you can put screenshots in them or like custom messages or like vibes or something like that. So almost like a little Miiverse kind of situation there. But this game's gonna have microtransactions and a currency system like you see in like a Fortnite or a Call of Duty or something, which is the first time we will have ever seen that in a first-party like console Nintendo game. I guess some of the mobile games have that, but for like a Nintendo console game, we've never really just had microtransactions. So unfortunately, Nintendo's slowly eking towards it that way, but I kind of expected it. I think this game will be free with Switch Online, so they got to monetize it some way beyond just giving it out for free, I suppose. But yeah, so it's going to have microtransactions, so that's definitely, I think, a confirmation that it is going to be a full release. Something that we knew was going to be in the game based on the website was that there would be some sort of enemies in this game. We know there was going to be like a health system and some sort of combat. And at least from the 5 or so hours I've played, the combat basically non-existent. Now, I know there were more enemies that were data mined, but basically, at least at the starting area I'm at, the way combat works is they don't like spawn in like the dark overworld when you're exploring like the dark areas looking for blocks or whatever. Enemies spawn from these little blocks that have like a big text bubble above them, and it'll say like, okay, to activate this block, you need to get your beacon to be, I don't know, 50 meters tall or whatever. And once you get your beacon to be that height within like the surrounding area of this block, you can activate the block and an enemy will spawn, and it takes like a couple hits to kill, and then it's dead. And I haven't even taken damage once from one of these enemies, so I'm not really sure like if there's going to be more depth to the combat here. And that was with me just kind of smacking him with my fist. I'm pretty sure there is a sword that you can craft or something like that. Or maybe there's a hammer. I'm not sure if, I guess you could use that as a weapon. But when you kill the enemy, I got, I believe, an eyeball or something like that, as well as a shell. I'm not sure what I do with these materials. And I guess that's one of my main takeaways from this 5-hour little play session I did. This game clearly has a lot going on. Like, if it were just going to be some sort of beta test for a prototype of some game that they're planning on, you know, greenlighting development on, it would not have as much content as it does. I mean, there's a lot of materials in this game. There's a lot of different planets you can go to. So the main planet, you kind of have like your main grid that you kind of build up and light up with some random other players. But then you also have these different moons that you go to that are specifically like resource planets. So like one of them was basically just like, this is a stone planet. This is where you go to get stone, and it's in abundance here. And you can really just mine it and get a ton of it. Or there's another planet that was like more jewel focused, I believe. So they have these other planets. You have this entire like user generated content, like 3D modeling software within the game. This feels massive, but I'm just not really seeing like why are all these things in this one game? I know that doesn't make sense. It's really hard to explain. I'm sure anybody else who has played it can agree with me, though. It just feels a little weird, you know? I feel like there has to be like a Roblox style, like you're creating games or something to it like that really just kind of spruces it up. But maybe not. Maybe it really is just going to be this Minecraft style thing where you play with other players and you have to build up your beacons and light up these areas and light up this planet. And that's the entire game. Maybe that is the case, but given that there's so much other stuff going on here, I just feel like that's not going to be it, if that makes sense. I'm sure even if that was it, like there would still be honestly a pretty dedicated player base for this. I mean, it is a kind of addictive gameplay loop of like, you know, you're out doing your expedition, you're lighting up these towers, you're getting your tower higher and higher so you can light it up, you get your development points, you level up that way, you go back to the dev core, the hub, you get to kind of experience and interact with all these different players again. When I was in the hub, I think there was like 100 people running around, so definitely one of the biggest online multiplayer games Nintendo's ever made. I guess it is. I mean, I know F-Zero 99 exists, but that's like totally different. There's like a full 3D open world game, or at least in areas it is. But yeah, the loop of, you know, building your tower, going to the dev core, buying more stuff, going back out, building it higher, and it's a pretty satisfying loop. So even from just that, I imagine people will like it. People will like, you know, making their custom 3D models. There's even like this whole showcase in the hub where you can pay, I think it's 300 of your dev points to put your custom creation on display. And there's like this whole like system. I'm not sure what you get for it on the receiving end because I haven't tried putting anything out on display yet. But basically, you can like give other players likes on their objects that they make. So I assume maybe they get more points for that or something. So there's a lot going on here, and I can understand like the loop of just this would probably be pretty satisfying for a lot of people. But I just feel like there's probably more. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. But like I said, I could be wrong. I will say that too. I know it would never happen in a Nintendo game, but man, I wish this game had like proximity voice chat or something. It would be so funny. This game would be so funny with voice chat because you have your planets that only you can access, as well as like 10 other people, I'm pretty sure. And then, so like talking to them while you're like building up your towers would be kind of fun, almost like this weird Minecraft speedrun race to see who can build their beacon the tallest, fastest. That'd be kind of fun to be just talking to random people. But then you go to the hub and there's just 90 plus people running around acting like idiots, and it's so funny. It's so funny seeing all of these people running around, especially in the context of this playtest where you know this is all hardcore Nintendo fans that signed up exactly at what 7 a.m. that day to log in and get selected for the playtest. So I don't know. It's a very like it feels very cool from like a community perspective, and I wish there was voice chat or something to add to that. I also want to mention the test exam you have to take to get your UGC license so that other players can actually like check out your 3D models and stuff. You teleport to like this other room, and there's a ton of tables that you sit on or blocks that you sit on, and you take an actual test. There's like an actual like a 20 question exam that you have to take in real time with other players. You have to go at a scheduled time. There's like, I don't know, like maybe 10 specific times throughout the day you can come here and take this test. You have to be there on the dot or you're not getting in, and there's all these other players here, and there's 20 questions, and it's really like, it's almost intense because it's really basic stuff. It's like, can you harass other players? Yes or no, right? It's literally stuff like that, but the questions like get a little bit more like specific in terms of like the legality of how like UGCs work and stuff. And then other players that were taking the exam at the same time as me like started dropping out because they were getting the answers wrong, and when they get the answer wrong they literally like die in game and get sent to this like spectator box. So the community aspect of this is honestly like really charming and really a lot of fun, something that we haven't seen too much of from Nintendo. So if they can really focus on that and kind of elevate that experience even more, that's going to be a lot of fun. I honestly, like, it's such a silly thing, but that exam was hilarious. Final thing I want to mention, you have the DPS. I can't remember what it stands for exactly, but basically it opens up the entire map of the planets. So when you open it up, it's kind of zoomed in. You can kind of see what you're doing, right? You zoom out a little bit more, you can see what other people are doing. And it's like this very detailed, almost like, it looks like a heat map or something, but you can keep zooming out. And then you realize when you do that, that this world is absolutely massive. I don't know how long it would take for this full thing to be filled up. It's definitely not going to be achieved with 10,000 players in the 2 weeks that this playtest lasts, but the map is huge, or like this planet is huge. Now, granted, I would assume that the individual areas are all procedurally generated because it feels like Minecraft, right? But it is a big map. I do wonder how fast Nintendo expects the community to light everything up, because I really don't think with 10,000 players it's going to happen. And like I mentioned earlier, when I was in my like little area building up my beacon, I was alone for most of it. So I feel like 10,000 players is not enough. This needed to be like, honestly, like a 20,000, even 30,000 player test to really just have as many people as possible on at once. So hopefully maybe they open this up to just all Switch Online owners or something, or even just, you know, do another wave of invites, because I want to see what this game looks like when it's even more active. Because yeah, like I said, I was feeling a little lonely, man. I was alone building up my beacon, and you know, with games like this, it's just more fun knowing that there's other people, and even if you're not like actually talking to them or interacting with them, really, just like seeing them across the map building up their tower is like kind of fun. It's kind of satisfying, right? So I hope they open this up to more people and more people get their hands on it. And honestly, I hope they just announce this game. I would love to be able to show footage. I'm sorry I can't show footage of it in this video because Nintendo will come after me. But yeah, I wanted to come on here and just talk about this new Switch Online playtest. I cannot believe that I played 5 hours of some new weird Roblox Nintendo-like IP Minecraft Nintendo game that we don't have a name for. What a weird reality we're living in, where I can say that as a sentence and that's real. Like, that's not a joke. I think it is definitely the most interesting outcome for what this playtest was. I know people are still angry it's not, you know, GameCube NSO or something else entirely. I know a game like this is not going to be for everybody, right? This is going to be a very specific audience. It will probably be very popular with kids when they get it in their hands, when it's free on Switch Online. But as someone who like really covers Nintendo and how they operate and like kind of follows the business of Nintendo, this is a very like interesting chess move of like okay, we're going to make like this Minecraft game. Like, why now? Like, why is Nintendo doing this now, you know? I know some people still speculate maybe this will be tied into some sort of Miiverse, and maybe that's true, right? Maybe this is related to Switch 2 in the way that, you know, it's going to be its own game. Like, you can play it, and it is a pretty complete, like, competent package, but maybe it will be connected to something else, like a social Miiverse kind of. I don't know. Probably not. I probably, at the end of the day, I do think it will probably just be its own standalone thing, separate from any kind of social features on the Switch 2 or even the current Switch, but I don't know. It's very weird. If you've played it, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, if you haven't played it, let me know how all this sounds, because I feel like I sound like a madman, especially since you can't see the gameplay. But yeah, this is a weird one. I'll definitely be playing more as the weeks go on here before it closes down, and we'll see how the community kind of develops and learns how everything works in this game. But this has been a very interesting couple of weeks ever since they announced this, and now seeing it and getting it in our hands. And yeah, I'll be very curious to see how this develops. So let me know your thoughts. Subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch news, content coverage, all that fun stuff. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my other channel at It's Amiibo. And until next time, folks, peace.